Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Welcome to the Cosentino city, Madrid. It's a real honor to welcome today Ron Arad, a good friend of the Cosentino organization. We had the pleasure to start to cooperate a couple of years ago through the ToHa project. It's going to be introduced later. And at that time, our former Israel general manager, Itai Simoni, was the person that managed the operation, the business in Israel. And Itai today, well, he flew yesterday from New York, where he lives now, in New Jersey.
New York.
New York City, to stay here because he's a good friend of Ron, and he knows very well this project, ToHa. At the meantime, he learned a lot about the author, Ron, and all other projects made and designed by Ron. I would like to congratulate, thank you, Itai, for your big effort flying from New York to be today here and this afternoon at the Madrid Architect College, 6 o'clock. And you did a great job managing this project in Tel Aviv, and now introducing and spread the project in United States. Today, Itai is general manager of a stone system in the east part of United States. So now it's your time. Thank you and enjoy.
I have to say, last time I had an event like this in Holland, I had to tolerate all the introductions in Dutch. Wow. And it was all Dutch to me. And it shows something that I was anticipating you speak Spanish too, but I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So again, thank you everyone for coming. It's a real pleasure. So I had the amazing privilege to get to know Ron through our collaboration over the ToHa project. A project that started from a relationship and a quest of Ron for new materials, and by God's will, we were able to meet, and from that point, it's history. It's a relationship that drove us to other collaboration that we'll speak today. I think the theme of the conversation will be materials and aspirations. We started, coming from the ToHa project, we started a set of events last year. We did events in Miami, New York, Toronto. And this year we are basically immigrating the events to the other side of the Atlantic, into Europe. So this is our first concept of event here in Europe, here in Madrid. And I believe we're going to see more during the year. So it's going to be a free conversation that we are going to explore projects of Ron. The first theme will be ToHa project, because this was our point of connection. And I think it's a good opportunity because you didn't come here to listen to me. You came to listen to Ron.
I did.
So, so Ron, I think it will be a great moment to start with what drove you to the vision of ToHa and the way that it's actually built?
One of the owners of it's a collaboration between two major developing companies, and one of them came to the studio because he was curious to see things, and we showed him things, and then he asked me, if I show you a piece of land in the middle of Tel Aviv, what would you do? And I said, try me. And they commissioned a concept. This is important because I think the project it is like it is because the first month or 2 months that we worked on it, we didn't have any contact with anyone from the clients. So we had the complete freedom to fantasize. Also, it wasn't the job, it was like working on a concept. And you will find that in every interesting and good building that you'll see anywhere in the world, yes, there's a good architect, but there's also a good client. Because you understand why, because you need. So I did some sketches and things. I jokingly said I did sketches to scare the client off. because everyone wants something unusual and special, but when it comes to it, they don't really want something special. The people are very cautious, and it's serious gambles, serious risk, serious money. So I did, like every project, it begins with sketching and playing with the ideas. It was in a place where there's lots of towers there. I hate going to skyscrapers and to towers that you have to get to them through a maze, a shopping mall, and it is like there's a lot of concrete and build stuff, and then there's the building. So I wanted to. I remember, this is like an early render of the project. I said in the first meeting where I presented the concept that I want to touch the ground with as little area as possible, the smallest footprint. And let's have a park where there wasn't a park before. It wasn't that we're building a building on the park. By the concept that we created, we vacated the land to make a park, because it started by points on the floor and then it grew anyway. And in that first meeting, I remember exactly the person that's a good idea. And somehow, after the presentation, they couldn't go back. And there's another big architect there that already did a scheme for that project. When you make friends, you also make enemies. So anyway, they couldn't go back. And this is like early renders of the project. This thing explains the idea. I call it an upside-down building, a building that all the machinery and the plants are on the floor, and then it makes a big foyer, and it frees the roof. It has a glorious roof, and the thing is that in my practice, we don't churn things out. Every building we do, it's like the first building we've ever done. And so it is, I always thought that experience and knowing and rehearsed solution is a bad habit. It's nice not to have, it's nice not to know. It's nice to, and I really love these drawings of that. That is, like quite a while later, working with all the different consultants and, mechanical, electrical, heating. And when I complained before about in architecture that you have to negotiate with many people, there's also some blessing in it. I mean, there's a lot of joy in negotiating and inventing things with people from different professions. Putting the plant on the floor means that it has to breathe. And I didn't like the grills that normally, I think you can see it a bit in my friend's building in Madrid, Jean Nouvel's thing, there's grills on the street, am I right? Anyway, I wanted to avoid it, so we invented these things, and I think what you don't know, or maybe you do know, that this exercise led us to Cosentino, because we looked for the material, the best material to do it, and we looked at other companies a lot better than you. We did it. We had amazing visits, and we were really impressed with this Dekton. I never heard of Dekton before we worked on this. And I won't give you all the technical details about it, but it is an incredible process that makes an incredible product. So yeah, the zigzag is to let air without having a frontal grill. And you can see it here. Actually, in this picture, the only material you can see other than glass is Dekton. What you don't see here very well is that there's a gradation of color. It starts darker and it goes lighter. So I remember going to the panels. They were a bit like the panels you have here, made of Dekton in a gradation. The only problem is I flew from London to Almeria and it was perfect. So I said, no, I'd change this just to, no. And they did. But it was perfect before I changed it. No, it's not true. So again, going back to the idea of starting with the park rather within a shopping mall. This is all renders, of course. You don't have to believe it. I said to the marketing people that this building is not a cucumber. I also say it's not a phallus. It's not. It is an iceberg. It's more like an iceberg. So they had a brilliant idea to take me to Iceland to pretend to be inspired by icebergs. And I told them, I don't work like this. I'm not going to pretend. So they took an actor. Whoa.
To dream the impossible. To fight the unknown. This is the mission. This is the charge.
And this is how architects work. You get a project, you buy a term, you go to Iceland and you get I asked them to take Bruce Willis, but it was too expensive, so I don't know who this man is. Anyway, it's what? Why is it upside down here? Hang on, maybe it's. Hang on. Whoops, I'm punished now. Tam-ta-dam. Hang on, I'll do it again. I'll try start here, maybe. Yeah, I told you it's good. The second part of this film. This film was very important before the building exists, because all we had is renders and films that are fake. But what's interesting here about marketing is that who would think of advertising a building with an avalanche? This is okay still, but this, you see, I wouldn't buy a building that is advertised by this, but they were right and I was wrong. The building was let, every centimeter of it was let very fast. I mean, we don't need to watch the film because we have reality now. This is photographs, not, yes, there's a park, and we did also a system of shelves that if each floor is a shelves, and that the glazing is locked between the shelves. And today, with clever computers, we can work out that 97% of all the glazing panels were the same size, although the building is sort of adventurous in shape. At one point, we had pressure to go to a skin, forget the shelves. and then we did the research and explained them why the shelves are good. You can see on a big problem with glass buildings is the reflection on the environment, the neighbors and things. So this is a reflection. If it was not with shelves, you get that. Our building, this is a reflection. Another thing is with the shelves is that when it rains, the shelves make it much, anyway. So it's really nice you do a building to please your interest, but it also gets the best award for being environmentally friendly for all sorts of reasons. But it is the first building in Tel Aviv that got the platinum plaque on it of being environmentally friendly. You do things like a model that you put in a wind tunnel to test what the wind does to it, and another thing is when you do a new building in most cities in the world, you have to spend a percentage on public art. I don't know if you have it in Madrid or not. I'm complaining about it, but some of the work I do is sculptures for buildings. But here, I wanted the art or the sculpture to be incorporated in a building. I didn't want to have the building and then a sculpture next to it. So one of the legs of the buildings is the sculpture. There are the first sketches, and there it is. And the funny thing is, that's when people describe each other, the place, the building with the metal. I remember there was actually a Cosentino event there, and I took a taxi, and I said to the taxi driver, I gave him the address. It's the ugly building, I said to him. And he nearly stopped the car. Said, this is my favorite building. Don't speak like that. So I said, okay. So the foyer, the lobby, is very big because all the first 7 floors are where all the machinery is. So, and then you can also see the sky from the entrance. And we let a little bit of the park to go inside. This is another journey. Sorry, we have to move to stainless steel now. Is it okay? A necessary evil in every building is the security, the turnstiles, and that people have to come and you know about it. So a very innocent sketch, the first sketch I did for the reception desk, or the idea, let's do it all in one continuous bend. And that's easy, but then you have to sort of model it. And then in discussions, they tell you that, for disabled people, it has to be a certain height, so you go down, talking about disabled, I'm very happy that they told her that one of that instead of doing a special access for wheelchairs, I did it so all the 4 access, the 4 entrances are good for a wheelchair. So they don't have a special, dedicated, different. So this is all good. This is all renders. And then you have to, again, negotiation with people that make all these security checks. And crazy project I'll tell you a secret, no one pays you for this. Because it's something that we had a lot of time spent on something that we could have done something very simple. Here it is, but anyway. So I love this film that someone took. I mean, you work and it becomes like a major thing, and then people that go to work in the building now just take it for granted. They just walk, and it's like most of them won't even notice. Oh, this is a very special, or maybe they do. I don't know. Dekton on the floor. Okay, we'll move on. So this is a render. We had to. What we did, I didn't say that. We created a very, very, very good place to work. There isn't a desk there that's not near a window, and I feel guilty because we had a camera on the next building, watching the building, the building process, and we could see from the studio exactly what the builders are doing, and we could see they chose the best places to have lunch every day. So we got to know the building from the first workers on the building, which is the builders. This is real thing. So when I go there, I'm so happy that had not very little, nothing to do with the interior design of the offices. Most of the occupants are like high-tech companies, and so this is looking into the that's the side photos. I mean, you always wish, can we stop here? That looks so good. But no, we'll. So this is going to choose the gradation of the Dekton.
No, this is the factory visit. So one of the things that we usually do in Cosentino, that we like to connect the architects and the developers to our main factory in Almeria. So we invited Ron to visit and to approve the new colors, because one of the things that I think in ToHa most of everything, we stretched our abilities. And one of those abilities was to create 7 bespoke colors specifically at ToHa. 7 colors that we will not use again, apart of maybe to ToHa number 2.
Feel free to use them. Don't.
And we invited Ron to approve the colors, and it was a success. And I think that from that point, actually, a new idea was born. And
anyway, so they asked me in my visit if I would do something for Dekton, with Dekton, something that, and I love doing ping pong tables. So I'll show you the first ping pong table that I did. Maybe I can show it to you now. Maybe I can jump to it now. It will give us a break from talking about buildings. Okay. Okay, so this is the stainless steel ping pong table. It has a belly. It's not straight, so it slows the game down. It makes the rallies longer. When I exhibited this at the Royal Academy, I don't know if you know, but it was the last half a year of before Anthony Caro, the national sculptor of England, passed away. So he came to me and he says, "This is a marvelous sculpture." I said, "Thank you, Sir Anthony." And he says, "You should try and play ping pong on it." And this was the best compliment I've ever got, because he saw a sculpture before he saw sports equipment. And this is a winner of all the discussion about what is art and what is design and what is. So anyway, this is a show. The first time I showed it was in Bologna. I did a joint show with my friend Francesco Clemente, who is also a ping pong enthusiast. And this is when I had a show in a gallery in Russia. The owner of the gallery, Gary Tatinsian, not only that he didn't allow people to play there, he didn't allow them to touch it. He said, "Look, it's a ping pong table. We should play. Let's get a ball and bats." This was my worst mistake ever, because he was such a good ping pong player, and I didn't win a single game against him. This is slow motion, but that's him. That's him. But this is when I had my show in LA, so you can see like professional people playing. So this one is just doing that, one direction, and this one, no, this is not. Do you want to see this? No. This one for Cosentino, it's called 10 layers. It's made out of 10 layers, and as I said, it is concaved in all directions, and when you carve it, it makes the circles. The circles are like topography of the layers, and I remember getting this video of the people just finished making it, playing on it before me. And then this is, can I tell the story?
Of course.
I lost against the Russian, but I won against Rafael Nadal. It's true. I mean, in my diary I wrote I won against Nadal, a technical victory, because this is in the Madrid Open, and Nadal was going to play against me after he finished his tennis game, but unfortunately he lost the tennis game, and it was the first defeat he had after 50 games, so he didn't turn up. He took his bets back then and went home. Before that, I warned him that don't think that ping pong is tennis. Don't fool yourself. Anyway, so, but I played against, what's his name?
This is Juan Manuel, is the
Paralympic
Olympic, yeah, was the
silver medal
champion
award.
in the
Silver. When I tell the story, I say gold.
silver champion in Rio de Janeiro Olympic Games.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ron, let's talk a little bit about
Whatever you want.
technologies and how you implement them.
Technology is a tool. It is no more than a tool. And I love working with artisans. I love working with technology. Like in the last millennium, in '99, I had a show in Milano called Not Made by Hand, Not Made in China. People didn't talk about 3D printing those days. It was called rapid prototyping. The marketeers didn't invent the name 3D printing yet. So I did things like jewelry, like vases. The idea here is that I can stop it, any frame here, and print it. So it's like, so this is stuff in the show, and then lights and jewelry and lampshades. It's called Not Made by Hand, Not Made in China. This is quite a big one. And of course eyewear that we did but I won't go through eyewear because we can spend too much time there. But the last I've used this technology was to do the first ever 3D printed book. I was asked to do something to celebrate Einstein's 100 years of theory of relativity. And they wanted me to do a bust. the Einstein Foundation and give it to Obama to sign, to this to sign. And I said, look, he's not a cow. Do you know the cow that everyone says, he's not a cow, let's do something else. And we did this book with 100 pages. Each page is written by a world visionary. And there's the portrait of Einstein. And as you can see, gravity now turns the pages. This is long, I'll make it fast. Anyway, so and because gravity was a star there, we took it to, no, it's not this. Where are we? Maybe it's this, I don't know. Yeah, we printed one in an International Space Station. So it's not only the first ever 3D printed book, it's the first book that was printed in space. That's in space. And so that's technology. But I mean, I also like working with artists. This is a project that I did in Dakar, in Senegal, with African artisans, which was amazing, different than working with anyone else. You know, do the drawing, I send them, and they bend the tube, and you can see like I like to see this weaver is amazing. I had to put it on slow motion so we can see, because he's normally faster than this. Or the other way around. And then that's the tools they make so they can do this. Anyway, so you can 3D print, or you can use artisans. Or when I had an exhibition in Geneva of this piece here, which is a log that's carved by a CNC machine, I wanted to show the video of how it's made. And the gallery said, no, the last thing I want my clients to see is this video. I want them to imagine you with like Michelangelo. So, I mean, so this is like a computerized woodpecker. Do you know how long are we going?
You have time.
אני צריך הפסקה שנייה.
All right.
Okay, entertain them.
Yeah. So we will do
Yeah.
1 minute recess, okay?
Okay. I need to.
Yeah. ToHa wasn't a simple project for us because in one single project we have 7 bespoken colors. We have close to 30,000 square meters of cut-to size material. We have more than 10,000 different tiles. And more than anything, the work with Ron challenged us as Cosentino to understand how far we can take our products. And what is the limit of our products as Dekton on one side, and second is our ability as a company. So I think the challenge, more than anything, as me as a part of Cosentino, helped me to understand how amazing we are as a company. And not by giving compliments, is because I think that any certain company is being basically scaled by its ability to service the clients. And you can be a client that sell one model or sell tiles. And I think this is where Cosentino is different than any other company in the industry. Because we don't sell tiles. We don't sell the product per se. We sell our service and our abilities to work with the architects and with their developers, basically to help them to complete their dreams. Ron had an incredible vision. And a vision of, I remember one of the first discussion was, in a perfect world, I wanted to see concrete. But I know that the concrete will not stay long, and in a few years it's going to be stained. So let's find together a material that will have the concrete look, that I will see like a concrete that's being cut like with a razor knife sharp, and it will be sustainable and will stay there for another 50 years.
Is that all?
It's the beginning.
50.
And from that point, basically, we started a process, and again, this is where, as Cosentino, we excels, that we help Ron and his firm to basically achieve the dream by creating specific colors that weren't part of our palette. But because we want to create the degradation between the first floor that is dark and it go up. By the ability to work with the 3D ledges and to implement the lighting inside the ledges itself. By reach that certain of accuracy that there are areas of the building that is starting to turn around like a fan, that everything will be accurate with the look of the Dekton. And I think this is where I learned the most about Cosentino, because I understand that we're all departments from R&D to production to our logistic, because again, we are talking about a very complicated project. 25 or 28,000 square meters that we finished the installation in less than 12 months. Because, developers want the building to be open in time. And with that understanding, it gave us the confidence, and with the vote of Ron, that basically we're willing to choose Dekton over other products. And not by choosing for a countertop, which countertop are important, but choosing a main product that is the skin of the building itself. And with that confidence, it led us to more applications. One of the beautiful things about ToHa, that we don't have only Dekton in the facade of the project, we have Dekton in 5 different thicknesses. You can find 12 millimeter on the skin of the project. We can find 8 millimeter in the internal flooring. We can find 4 millimeter upside down as the internal ceiling, 2 cm in the elevators, 8 millimeter in the wall cladding in the toilets. With Ron's vision, we were basically able to customize and to use the product all around the product, all around the project. So we know that facade is always an entry gate. And once us as a company understand that the best way to service is to not just to sell the material, but to give a full, basically an umbrella that covers also the solution, understanding what he wants to achieve with this project, and then basically to be able to materialize it, to produce it, and to work also with the installers to install it. Because it could be the best product in the world, but if it wasn't perfectly installed, you won't be able to see it as it looks today. So I think this challenge taught us a lot about our abilities, about our ability to serve a project, a concept that was conceived in London, and then a special cut to size and a process of colors that was in Spain, into everything that merged together to a ship that came to Israel, and the installation that took place in Tel Aviv. And this is, again, part of the being unique as Cosentino, that we are present today in 5 different continents. And an architect that works on a project here in Spain, we can basically install it in another point of the universe or in the world. And it's a great thing that it helps us basically to learn about our abilities. So working with architects like Ron, that's hiding there somewhere.
Behind Dekton.
That likes Dekton, and didn't know about Dekton before, and I think this even gave us even a bigger vote of confidence. Because by him starting with the facade, and then we invited him to the factory, and then in the factory, I remember as part of the tour, we saw a color and he said it was only a prototype. And then he said, I like this one. That's like now going to use this specific prototype in all the lobbies as the flooring. And that from that point, he moved to the wall cladding. And it was basically a conversation together with the architect and the developer that basically helped us to find more and more applications. So I think the key message here, and before we move to a little bit of Q&A with Ron, is by your knowledge that you need to test us. You need to tell us what you want, and we will be the one to fulfill your dreams. Because the things, and the most important, that we can. We have the ability. We just need you to vision, to dream it, and we will make sure to bring it to life.
Do you believe him? Yeah. Let's do. How many people believe him? How many people don't? You did it.
Because of you. Thank to you. Because without you imagine it, we won't be able to do it.
Okay.
So I think it's a great moment to start with a little bit of Q&A. And I said it's going to be an open discussion. So this is now the time to challenge Ron after he challenged us. So please.
Well, thank you very much for your wonderful project. Being an engineer on facade cladding, I wonder what kind of system have they used in this project for Dekton. And this is rain screen, open joints, kill holes on the back, because the project is so tall. So I would like to ask you about this one.
He is the person to.
Okay.
So I will answer it. So here we needed a special system. So we started basically, everything is ventilated facade, everything is rain screen to be able to achieve the specific dimension. And on one side, the geometry of the building itself, we needed something that is out of the ordinary. As I said before, we have more than 10,000 different sizes of tiles. So we started with a kill system, but then we understood that kill is not enough, because in one of the pictures that Ron is showed us before, we have upside down tiles, full size, that's in 30 meters high. So eventually we chose a ventilated facade with open joints that is not as kill, but basically with a back grooving system, okay? And Dekton, again, is one of the only products that allow the use of this kind of system. Now, it basically allows us not to have any limitation with the size. And so, this is for the ledges. For the X panels, we needed to invent a totally different system. Again, it's also based on the basic grooves, but then we needed to build a structure that is going to support it and to allow basically the X panel, because it starts basically from a closed dimension and it starts and open up as we go towards the 7th floor. So just to summarize, everything is ventilated facade. It's impossible to achieve it without a system like this.
But you mean unitized system?
Sorry?
Unitized system?
So we started with a base ventilated facade system, and we needed to improve it in order to accommodate the needs of the project. Because there is no only vertical panels. We have values in all 3 dimensions. Exactly. And also, we needed to create, because you have the ledges, and as we saw in the modulation of the raining, we need also to create slopes. The slopes are changing from an area to area. So it's a unified system. But one of the beauties about Dekton that there's not just one system that works with it. Yesterday I came from our factory before I came from New York, and we are presenting today close to 10 different systems that we can work today with Dekton. So again, it's a dialogue. As the one that works with facade, you need to let us know what is your needs. We can study with you your elevations, and then we can suggest what are the systems that we think will work well in order to balance, because in a perfect world like ToHa, Ron, we're working with clients that money wasn't the big barrier. But sometimes we're working with developers that you as architects and designers
That's news to me.
wanted on one side to show the most beautiful things, but always there is a budget. So it's also very important to ventilate facade systems, to be able to find an economical system, but a system that will allow you to use any size or any geometry. Thank you. Please.
You changing the subject to another issue. You have had the experience of working in a building of Luigi Moretti, the Watergate.
Yeah.
My opinion was an extraordinary architect.
Yeah.
There is a controversy now, broadly speaking, in Spain, but people tend to overlook the value of the modernist heritage. What is your view on this topic?
I'll just show you here. The Watergate Project. I accepted the project because of Nixon. How do you say no? Do you want to design the new Watergate Hotel that was? We like Moretti. I don't think it's a great building. It has like anywhere you can stand, you can touch this. The floor to ceiling is like, and there's lots of things that are. I can see the good things about it, and if it wasn't Moretti, if it wasn't a listed building, people would be very happy to tear it down and build something else there. Thank God they didn't. So that's the building. I mean, do you love it? Yeah, okay. So what I wanted to do, I didn't want to do a pastiche of a period piece, but I wanted to use the geometry there as like the circulation diagram. You can see, and this is one of the first renders we did, that I did it reflective, the floor and the ceiling. I didn't know about Dekton when I did it, I'm sorry, so it's like, so it's reflective by the vertical thing, so to deal with the floor to ceiling height, and then it gradually goes opaque. So the nice thing is that everything there was made in Italy. I don't think American artisans could have made any of my designs there. And so everything was designed not to be welded on site, but to be fixed mechanically. So this is like a movement from a render to reality here, which is always, if it's not better, if the reality is not better than the render, you're wasting your time. I mentioned in the reception desk of ToHa the disabled people. I'm very happy with this solution here. Not to disturb the thing, but if someone comes with a wheelchair, we produce a lower surface for them. Anyway, so it is that they designed it. It knows where it is. It knows the Moretti building. It doesn't do anything pastiche or anything in the style of. Invented everything from, oops, where are we here? Oof. Yeah, I mean, the whiskey bar that we call the next whiskey bar is made of thousands of bottles of whiskey. With inside them, we did a stainless steel label that's rolled and put inside the bottles. And we named it the next whiskey bar. after Bertolt Brecht. Do you know the song, Show Us the Way to the Next Whiskey Bar? So the carpets and everything is made for the place. The lights, the signage, all the furniture were bespoke. And there's this chair got the name the Watergate chair. And so it is. We did the logo. The logo is using Nixon's typewriter, corrupted. So it's like with our curves and yeah, I mean that's, so I don't know if I answered the question, but it was sort of looking at something and not saying, let's participate and let's see where we are and do something that enhances it.
Thank you.
So last question, please. Yes.
Is there a material you would try to avoid using in one of your projects?
Look, you want to avoid using materials that are bad for the environment. You know, it's like, but there's a tendency to show you a chair or something, say, this is made out of recycled material, 100%. Yes, but it's ugly. and it's uncomfortable. And so I think, yes, we have a responsibility to inform ourselves about what is good and what is not good. Look, my first ever piece of furniture that I don't know if did you mean environment when you asked, or it was a,
No, it's
or am I going to somewhere you didn't want to go?
no, it's fine.
Yeah, okay.
It's just because sometimes we
My first ever piece of furniture was this one, which is the rover chair. It's a. Before I did this, I didn't know that I'm going to design furniture. I took it from a car's graveyard, and I had to choose a chair, and I chose the rover. There's the rover chair. The rest is history. I can give you a whole talk just about what this chair did to me and what I did to it. It was put on the cover of the magazine Friends of the Earth, because I was a good example in 1981 of recycling, of using, oh, that's nice, but that wasn't my intention. You know, it's just like, but I'm very happy. I was also not looking at Jean Prouvé. That, by the way, Jean Prouvé copied my chair 50 years before I was born. And I was more interested in found object, Marcel Duchamp, and Picasso's Toro, like the bicycle seat and the handlebar. But yeah, so that is. I mean, there's no bad materials. There's depends for what. Like I did. This is one of my first chairs, the Big Easy. I did it in very different materials. I mean, I think I didn't know how to weld very well. I wasn't a good craftsman. I'm still not a good craftsman. But the way you justify it is like, why should everything be polished and perfect? Why can't we be sketchy? Like, and later, when we got better at doing it, you just change the tune, saying, look, this is like a big piece of jewelry. It's so polished and it's so perfect. So the lyrics doesn't matter. I mean, like, you can do things. And then I did this one as a joke. I took the same shape. The original one was mocking a club chair, like the two arms and shit. but then I went to Milan and I did metal inside, and I covered it 1 inch foam and went to a local upholsterer, do it in leather. And then an Italian company, Moroso, said, "Oh, can we do this chair?" And I said, "Yes, look, this is Moroso." So it became, it wasn't the plan for it to become that. This is another piece. This is a prototype. I won't talk about it. This recently changed hands for a price that I'm too embarrassed to tell you. Sick. And then another idea, what if I do 2 chairs, one is a negative of the other? So they're totally identical, but one is negative and one is positive. And it's a long story. I did it for an event that Sotheby's auctioneers did in a place called Chatsworth, outside London. And they wanted a photograph by a certain date. And I said, look, I can't finish it and photograph it for that date, but we can do a render that is just as good as the photograph. And they put this in the catalog. They used this image for the invitation for the event. But I wasn't late in a day, a month. I was late in 1 year. It took 1 year longer to make it. But it really cheered me that Sotheby's, the auctioneer, had something in the catalog that doesn't exist. So that was good. So, this is there's no way to speed things like that up. This is a photograph. And yeah, we can. They want me to stop, so I'm happy.
So we can continue the conversation with a glass of wine. So thank you so much, Ron.
Okay.